Greetings everybody, Nick DiVirgilio here, and today we're going to take a quick tour through the Universal Audio 1176 collection of plugins. These are the UA plugins that you can run natively on your own computer. You don't need Universal Audio hardware to run these plugins. Today I'm using a Focusrite Scarlett 18i8 as the interface, going into Pro Tools and recording everything on my MacBook Pro. It's been used on thousands and thousands of recordings throughout the years, and I've been fortunate to be in a lot of recording studios throughout my career, and I can honestly say that I've never been in a recording studio, a professional recording studio, where I did not see an 1176, at least one, sometimes two, and even more. That's because they do a great job at what they're designed to do. Compress, and also, if you want to, give a nice little effect to certain instruments in your mix. Now, not all of us might have the ability or the option to own a real 1176, the real hardware piece. But with these Universal Audio native plugins, not only can we use one 1176, but we can use all the 1176s, and we can run as many of them as our computer will allow. There's 3 1176s in the collection. The first is the Rev A, that's the original 1176, the silver face with the blue stripe. There's also the Rev E LN 1176, and LN stands for low noise. And there's also the 1176 AE, which is the anniversary edition. But since you have all three, you can mix and match to your heart's desire. So let's get started. The first 1176 we're going to take a listen to is the Rev E LN. Again, that stands for low noise. This is the most common 1176 that's out there. You can use it on anything, any instrument, any voice, whatever you want. I have a song that we recorded here at Sweetwater, and the first thing we're going to listen to is some acoustic guitar. Here we go. First, let's check out the first few bars of the tune with no compression on. Here we go. It's a nice, clean acoustic guitar sound, but now let me add the 1176 and see if you can't hear how it fills out the sound and just makes it even warmer with just a little bit of compression. Here we go. It's out right now. Now it's in. Out. And in. It's slight and it's transparent, and that's what makes the 1176 so great. If you want just a little bit of compression to smooth out the peaks and valleys in your song and in your mix, it's really one of the best plugins that you could use. Now let's check out the next section of the tune. This time the acoustic guitar goes into stereo and plays a single line. I'll play it without the compression and then put it in. Here we go. So it's out right now. Next time around, the compression will be in. Here we go. Yeah. It fills out the sound. It turns up the volume just a little bit, but that little bit of compression gives it a nice warmth. Let's check out that same stereo acoustic guitar, except this time it'll be soloed without the music in the background. I'll start with it off and then I'll turn it on. No compression. This time I'll turn the compression on and you'll hear the warmth and a little bit of pumping, and that's on purpose. I put a little bit extra compression to give it a little bit more of a pumping sound. It's going to stick through the mix that way. Here we go. I'm getting that pumping action because I have a higher ratio of 12:1, so it's a lot of compression. The attack is making it so it grabs the sound quickly. Right? And the release is sort of fast, but not too fast. It's a really great effect. Now let me put the mix back in and listen how the guitar jumps out. Here we go. What's cool is you don't really hear the pumping once it's in the mix with the rest of the instrumentation. On its own, you definitely hear it, but when it's inside the song, it's just cutting through and sounding nice and clear. The next 1176 we're going to take a quick listen to is the AE, the 1176 AE, which is the anniversary edition. What's cool about this particular one is that it's perfect for vocals. It has a special slow attack setting, SLO. If you look at the attack knob here, if you turn the knob, whether it's the attack or the release, to the right is fast and to the left is slow. Well, it usually just goes down to 1. If you click the word slow on the AE edition here, you'll see the knob go right to that word. It's just as slow as it could possibly be, so it's just going to barely get into the compression. I do have the release set to pretty fast, and another feature of the AE edition of the 1176 is the special 2-to-1 compression ratio. Now, the purpose of using this 1176 here on the vocal is to just smooth out the peaks and valleys of the vocal. I want it to be very transparent. I don't want any pumping action, just to smooth it out. I'm going to play the vocal without the compression, and then I'll turn it on. Here we go.
Reach down,
No compression.
hold the sound,
Compression.
feel light, super tight.
No compression.
Smile once, and then again.
Compression.
Sweeter things are in the air, happiness is everywhere.
So again, it's just barely getting to the vocal and just smoothing out those peaks and valleys. Let's listen to that again, but soloed this time.
Reach down,
No compression.
hold the sound,
Here it goes.
feel light, super tight.
Compression off.
Smile once, and then again.
Back in.
Sweeter things are in the air, happiness is everywhere.
So you can barely tell that it's on, but in my ear, since I've been doing this a long time, I can hear that it brings down the level of the peak just enough, just kind of rounds it off, and then the valleys are just brought up a little bit too. It gives it a nice warm sound. I crank the volume a little bit louder so it's going to stick in the mix just nicely. It's super easy to use, and this is a great plugin for your vocals. The next 1176 we're going to listen to is the original, the Rev A. The Rev A is cool and well known because of its bite and its grit that you can add to guitars, voices, and bass guitar. We're going to listen to bass guitar right now. First, we're going to check out the bass sound with a subtle compression setting. Here we go. First with it off, and then I'll turn it on as the song is going. Here we go. No compression. Compression. Back off. And on. So it's adding a little bit of body, a little bit of volume. I have the settings set to fast on both the attack and the release. I'm playing the bass guitar in this track, and sometimes with bass, when you're using your fingers, those loud notes can really poke out, especially if you don't have great technique. I don't have great bass playing technique. I'm a drummer by trade. But this compressor can definitely help with those things. Let's check out the sound of the bass with no music in the background. Here we go. No compression. Compression. Hear how it fills the sound out? Back off. Back in. So it's a very slight difference, but it definitely makes a big difference inside the track. Now let me show you a quick trick you can use with the 1176. And you can do this with any of the 1176s, but the Rev A is sort of famous for this. You can get a really smashed and distorted sort of sound when you press all of the ratio buttons in. Hold your shift button, press them down, and now all the ratio buttons are pressed in at the same time. And this is a great effect. This is going to be really an affected sort of sound. This 1176 Rev A was famous of adding a little bit of distortion, especially on bass guitar. I'm going to start with the 1176 off, and then I'll turn it on and see if you can't hear the grit and the distortion that's happening in the sound. It's a really good thing. Check it out. So that's off, and now on. Back off. And on. It's a really cool sound. It's definitely grabbing the bass and just giving it a little bit of grit. Let's leave that same setting on and put it in the song. Check it out. Yeah. And you can hear a little bit of that grit, which is a nice effect and complement to the acoustic guitar. Last but not least, let's listen to some 1176s on the drums. They're great for drums. First, let's check out the kick drum. We're going to use the Rev A on the kick drum here, just to give it a nice little punchy sound. I have the attack pretty slow, the release fairly fast on the 4-to-1 ratio setting. And here's what it sounds like. First off and then on. Here we go. This is the mic inside the kick drum. Punchy, decent sound, but now with the compression in. Way more attack, way more upfront sound, and a little more body in the sound as well. Check it out in the song. First with the compression off. Here we go. It's there, it's small, it needs a little more something, right? Let's put the compression in. It's definitely sticking through a lot better now. And I'm not changing any EQ or anything like that. The unit itself is giving it a little bit more roundness just by adding the compression. The unit we're going to check out for the snare drum here is the 1176 Rev E LN. Now, what's great about this one and all the 1176s in the collection is that they all come with amazing presets. You don't have to start from scratch. You can go to one of these presets and really help you get going much faster. The preset I picked for the snare drum here is called Pop Snare. Now, when you go through the presets, there's all kinds of options for all kinds of instruments inside your mix. Not just drums, but vocals and guitars and basses and keyboards and all kinds of things. And just scroll down and find what you need. And right there is Pop Snare for me. This has a slow attack, a fast release, and it has 2 of the ratio buttons pressed in. You can have these ratio buttons pressed in any combination you want. This particular preset uses the 4 and 8-to-1 ratios at the same time. Here's what the snare drum sounds like, first with the compression off and then on. Well, it's way in the background and just needs some more life to it. Let's put the compression in. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Way better. Yeah, now the volume was low when the compression was not in, of course, so I can definitely add more volume by turning this plugin on, but it also added a little bit of grit and a little more life to the sound, which really made it stick through and kind of be in your face like you want a snare drum to be, especially a nice acoustic sounding snare drum like this one in this tune. Let's check out the sound of the snare by itself without the music in the background. First the compression off, and then I'll turn it on. Here we go. It's quiet, it's small, it's a nice drum, but it needs something. It needs a little life. Here we go. Way better instantly. You hear the body of the drum. So much better. It did open up the hi-hat a little bit more because there's bleed happening from the other mics around the kit. So the hi-hat got turned up a little bit, but not too much. And when you put it in the mix with all of the other stuff, all of the other instruments, and all the other mics on the drum kit, it definitely fits in nicely. So let me turn these solo buttons off and let's check it out one more time. Yeah. Sounding good. All right. Now one more trick before we end this video. We're going to go back to the smash sound. We're going to push all of the buttons in and we're going to use this on the whole drum kit mix. Check this out. This is so much fun. I'm going to solo all the drums. Here's the 1176 we're going to listen to. It is the Rev A version. This is the one that's famous for the grit and the bite. Again, I have all the ratio buttons pressed in. I have a slow attack and a fast release. First, with no compression on, here's the sound of the drums. Then I'll turn them on and just hear the sound. It's really fun. Compression in. Off. When it's off, it has a nice mellow sound, good sounding drum kit, but when you turn it on, it's adding a lot of oomph and beef to the floor toms and the kick drum, really making it stand out, and it's giving it a nice pumping motion. Now, if you want to make this even more extreme, mess with the attack and the release, and you can definitely change the sound. It's great to learn these plugins and how to use them in a nice transparent way just to help you out with your mix and smooth out those peaks and valleys, but you can also get some fantastic affected sounds when you turn the knobs, press all the ratio buttons in, and just have some fun. This collection of plugins from Universal Audio are fantastic. put it all throughout your mix, learn how to use it, have some fun, experiment, and get some of that great 1176 sound inside your music. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Nick DiVirgilio.